I just want to update you on a big story. Jussie Smollett is making a comeback. And I'm not joking. Jussie Smollett is actually making a comeback. Let's cut to F8. This is a splashy profile of Jussie Smollett in Variety today. Here's the headline. Jussie Smollett, what is it? Slammed Chicago police, Rahm Emanuel as, quote, villains while denying hate crime hoax and mounting a comeback. My story, quote, has never changed. I mean, this is incredible stuff. There's a documentary that's going to stream next week on Netflix about Jussie Smollett. I believe it comes out on August 22nd. And Smollett is standing, Jussie Smollett, in your head, you always think Juicy, but then I know that I'm supposed to say Jussie. You guys don't mind if I say Juicy, but you know, you're sort of trained, right? This is journalism after all, to be accurate and of course to be neutral. And so in the interest of being neutral, I have to call him Jussie, but it's pretty hard not to call him Juicy. So there's a new Netflix doc coming out next week that is called The Truth About Jussie Smollett. And he says, according to Variety, quote, the Chicago establishment conspired to frame him. He claims he experienced a hate crime, one that the world came to believe he faked. Why would the Chicago PD and Emanuel do this? Variety asks. Quote, he answers the question with two questions. Could it be that they had just found out about the missing minutes and missing tape from the murder of Laquan McDonald? Could it be that the mayor helped hide that? Jussie Smollett says. He then goes on to address why two Nigerian American brothers started talking to the cops and confessed in great detail with receipts to, quote, cooperating with authorities, claiming that they carried out the attack at Smollett's behest, as Variety puts it. What does Smollett have to say to that? Why would two people make up a story like that? He replies, all I can say is God bless you, and I hope it was worth it. Every single other person's story has changed multiple times. Mine has never. I have nothing to gain from this. So here we are. Speaking of everything we were just discussing with the vibe shift, the Jussie Smollett case happened in 2019. I would say that probably early 2020, that time period is really, if we have to call it woke, that was like peak woke, capital P, capital W. That's as this wave is starting to crest. And all of these celebrities, politicians put out statements immediately after Smollett's story broke into the media, offering unconditional support of Smollett. And I think probably decades from now, we will look back at this example and Covington Catholic that was around the same time frame. I want to say that was like it might have been 2017, 2018, but it's within the same time frame as we build up to 2020 and then to 2024 when you start to see real backlash. This was in the time frame where the reflex of people in positions of power was just to support, not question anyone, and not acknowledge that people can exploit the good faith of the public for power, that people can exploit these woke claims, quote, woke claims, for power, that it could be when elites are all embracing the same ideology, a way to sort of burnish your credentials and your reputation and gain yourself more money and more power. And this was obviously happening. I think Taylor Swift did it a couple of times. The You Need to Calm Down music video is a good example. The Miss Americana Netflix documentary about her uphill battle against Marsha Blackburn is an example of this, while we're kind of going full circle from the start of the episode to the end of it on today's show. For Jussie Smollett to come back in 2025 and try to mount a serious comeback, to me is fascinating because I think, really, he's going to, mark my words, succeed with a slice of the microculture. We don't have macroculture anymore. We don't have monoculture anymore. But what we talk about here is that the microculture is basically what we all cluster into in various genres, whether it's music, movies, politics. It's where we find ourselves. And I think Jussie Smollett is probably going to find a group of people he'll believe every word he says. I think that's going to be the case. I think because he is doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, he's going to convince some small number of people that he's really telling the truth and that something shady was going on. When you combine microculture with low institutional trust, which is what we have in the United States right now, it is ripe for a bad actor like Jussie Smollett to exploit for his own power and reputation. Do I think he is ever really going to be a mainstream? I mean, he was on Empire making like $100K an episode, one of the biggest shows. It was one element of monoculture, one scrap of monoculture that remained at the time. And really, we don't have much like that anymore, and it's only been 6 years. But he was a bona fide celebrity. He was, not a household name, but he was on a primetime hit television show on a network. I don't think he's ever going to be anywhere like that again. I think very few people ever will be in positions like that again because of the way that we're splintering into these niches. But the intensely low institutional trust that we have in this country, I think has made an opening in the market for Jussie Smollett to come back in with all of the conviction of a man who will not cede an inch of ground to the obvious reality that he concocted this hoax. He will not cede an inch of ground. And that conviction is persuasive and attractive. And when you combine it with low institutional trust, so meaning of the court system, which his case went through, it got off on a technicality at one point, of the police and of the media, there's a way for Jussie Smollett to mount a comeback and make a little money. It's not going to be Empire money, but he'll be able to make a little money. Well, over the years, I've been clear about this. I'm not just pro-birth, I'm pro-life. And being pro-life, of course, means standing with mothers, not only before their baby is born, but long after. And that is exactly why I partner very proudly with Preborn. Preborn doesn't just save babies, they make motherhood abundantly possible. They provide free ultrasounds and share the truth of the gospel with women in crisis. And then they stay with real practical help, including financial support for up to 2 years after the baby is born. Amazing. This is what true Christ-centered compassion looks like, not just for that little baby, but for the mother too. And here's where you can make a difference. Just $28 provides a free life-saving ultrasound. One chance for a mother to see her baby, and when she does, she's twice as likely to choose life. Preborn is trying to save 70,000 babies this year, so don't just say you're pro-life. Live it. Help save babies and support mothers today. Go to preborn.com/Emily or call 855-601-2229. That's preborn.com/Emily.